Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to High Trust Coaching Live. I'm Nicole Foreman. I'm the divisional president of High Trust Coaching, and I have here with me today one of our master level certified coaches, Matt Harrison. Welcome, Matt.
Hello.
How are you today?
Oh, so good. It's going to be 62 degrees in Utah, so that's always a good thing. And
Oh, yes. It's nice. Put on your shorts, right?
that's right.
Yeah. So just as a reminder for everybody that's joining us today, we bring High Trust Coaching Live every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. And our whole intent and focus is to bring more value, insight to you, your day, your business, your life. So please feel free to ask questions or engage with us. We're here. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. So if we get anything, I'll be happy to answer any questions. So Matt, before we get started, talk to us a little bit about you. Tell us about you, your business, and let's just chat about Matt for a minute.
Great. Well, I come from really a real estate background. So I did real estate for 14 years prior to getting into lending. And I have been doing the lending arm of it now for 6 years. I've been a high trust coach. This is in my 4th year. And, love being in the business and, working it every day. And, fortunately, as a coach, we have the opportunity to help train others on how to build their business and do it in a high trust way. And, I'll tell this story for those that don't know it. So before I ever started originating loans, I had a great regional manager, Dan Mumford, who's also a coach with High Trust Coaching. And he said, "Hey, Matt, I want to try something. Before you ever go out into the mortgage world, I want you to learn how to do it right." And so he says, "You need to go to the High Trust Sales Academy." I said, "Okay, great. I don't know what that is, but it sounds great." Paid my ticket. I went. And to this day, Todd always laughs about the guy in the back corner who had never originated a loan, who spent the money to sit down in his class. And, my entire business has been built off of high trust. And so I don't know any other way. Through coaching, you kind of get, the different versions of how people do it. But,
Right.
I've really built it on that. And it's just been a successful exponential growth for me every single year since I've been in the business.
Right. I'll tell you, whenever we have someone like yourself new to the industry or moving from LOA to originator, and they come in at that level with not knowing any other way to conduct their business, I think that their ramp time is very, very short because we don't have to undo old habits, right? We don't have to undo any of those things that many of our coaching members have been doing that haven't really been working for them, but it's what they know, so they keep doing it until we can turn that curve and get them to start adapting to a different approach to their business, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know it's huge. So for anyone out there that's, well, really, there's no bad time to start doing things the right way. You can make this decision today to say, okay, I want to change my life. I want to make sure I have full impact and enjoy full quality of life and have an amazing business, be able to make more money in less time with less stress, which is the whole mantra of what high trust is about.
It's our promise.
And you can make that decision today. So, but if you're brand new in the business and you're saying, well, gosh, I just don't know a whole lot yet. I want to get my feet wet. I highly recommend supercharge your business now. Yeah. And if you've been a veteran in this business and gosh, I've been doing the same. I feel like I've been in this business the first year for 20 years in a row and I'm just stuck and I can't get past that. That's where, this really comes into play and where we have a lot of fun helping to build you.
Right. Exactly. I was thinking about, I was in the business 3 years before I was introduced to Todd Duncan and to High Trust. And so I was sitting in the room thinking, I knew there had to be a better way to do this business. I knew that I didn't have to become this donut girl, right, in order to build relationships. So I was just in there thinking like I had been freed in some way, through Todd Duncan and what he was teaching in High Trust.
It's the right type of donut, Hope, that you have to give out. Yeah.
Right type of donut. So today we thought we would talk about something that that is, that we never seem to have enough of, but is a commodity that we have to learn to manage and master, and something that we talk about at High Trust Coaching an awful lot, and that is time management. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a deep dive on the profit curve. And that is going to be, Matt's going to talk with us a little bit about time and productivity, which is obviously paramount to your success and your growth. So, Matt, why is that important?
Wow. All right. So if we take this into a large scope as far as what life is, we only have so much life.
Yes.
And as we live every single day, the amount of life that we have shortens. And so the amount of time that we're actually spending in work becomes very, very critical, because at the end of the day, as we're laying on our deathbed, or we know that, okay, we've got a week left, as we look back, we're not going to have people say, gosh, Matt, you were just such a hard worker, and you worked 20 hours a day. And I mean, that's not something at that point that really is going to matter. It's going to be, what experiences did I have? Who was I able to help? What legacy did I live? And so when we look at the time that we spend working, which, by the way, we should be living first, working second, that should be our priority. We need to be living life and having the work aspect of it help fuel our life.
Right.
And not the other way around. We should not live to work, right? We should work to live. And so when we look at the productivity curve and saying, all right, if we know that we have a certain amount of time in life and we have a certain amount of time in business, how do we maximize our time in what we do in business to make sure that we are being ultra productive in a dollarized way? And so there's a couple of different questions that we're going to go over today, and there's a lot of different pieces to the productivity curve. We're going to hit one of them today. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, what tasks are you still involved in that are not earning you top dollar? And first and foremost, what is your main event? So if you have your work day and it looks like, there we go, and it looks like this, right? And we've got this amount of stuff that we do during the day. How much of it is earning you top dollar? And how much of it is not earning you top dollar?
We get, I'll tell you, we get in the habit of, saying that we're busy. And whenever I get on the phone with a client, and granted, 2020 and the first Q1 of 2021 is a very, very busy time for our coaching members. It's a very busy season. And that, really the gas has not been, we haven't taken our foot off the pedal that much. But one of the things that I heard just recently last week, as a matter of fact, was Todd Duncan saying that, that we need, our business does not serve our life. Our life should be serving our business. And, and so that, our business is serving our life, and and our life is serving our business, so that we're really kind of keeping that, keeping that mindset, that it's not always just only about the business, it's about our life, and our business needs to serve our life. So that means fulfillment, that means time management, that means bringing meaning, making, being of service, all of those things, Matt, that, that we should be doing. And so when we talk about high dollar activities, it's also those green activities that are serving your referral partners, serving your clients, your database, and people that you're working with now. And I just wonder if, we teach this in coaching, Matt, but I wonder how many people actually sit down and do that discipline. How much of my time am I spending, with your question, what tasks are you still involved in that is not high dollar?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, most of us don't know until we do a very simple exercise.
And now, what's that?
Simple is a little misnomer here, because this is going to take effort to do this exercise,
Uh-huh.
but I challenge you to do it. And this is what it is. So during your day, you are going to time log your day at work. And to be honest with you, I actually have my coaching members time log their entire day for a week. So from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, what were they doing during that day? So that they can go back and then look and see where they were spending their time. But if we just segment it into work, all right, every time that I'm looking at email, every time that I pick up the phone and I talk to a client, every time that I'm running, hopefully we're not doing this, running to the copy machine to make copies or scan files. Every time that we take a lunch break, every time that we are stepping away to talk to coworkers, if we're back in the work environment, if we're at home, right, then this is another challenge. Every time that we get pulled away from working to do other things around the house, taking a nap, it doesn't matter. Anything that is happening during your day, you're going to time log it. Start time, end time, activity. And you do this back and forth during your entire day. And at the end of the week, you're going to go back and say, all right, which activities were green? In other words, which activities were money-making activities?
Right.
Which activities were red, meaning they didn't make me any money? It was a complete waste of time, which includes surfing on ESPN, Pinterest, Instagram, right? Now you can say, well, I'm kind of marketing and I'm doing that. If you're doing that and that's your specific time slot, I'm going to market and do this. But many times we find ourselves sucked down the rabbit hole where, oh crap, we just spent a half hour checking out our favorite sports team or whatever it happens to be.
Right.
But you're going to see that your actual time spent in your day on high producing activities, which I would argue is originating, building relationships, strategy, originating, building relationships, strategy. This is just this continual process, right? That is going to make us this hourly rate. Now, Hope, this is where it becomes, this is the huge aha moment.
Okay.
Let's say that you know that for every loan you close, on average, it's $3,000. Okay. And we're just going to throw that out. Let's say you make a $3,000 amount on a loan. You can time block the amount of time that you actually spend in that loan as well. Okay. So you've got a time block of your day, and you've got a time block of, say, 3 files from start to finish. This is every time you pick up the phone, every time you look at an email on the file, every time you talk to a team member about the file, every time that you're doing anything related to that borrower, you're time blocking it. Okay. Let's say, for kicks and giggles, that you spent a total of 5 hours on that file from start to finish. Okay. Your personal time, not the team. This is just your personal time. And you made $3,000. Okay. You divide $3,000 by 5.
Okay.
And that gives you $600 an hour.
Yes.
Okay. Pretty good. That's pretty phenomenal. So say, okay, $600 an hour. That's a pretty good hourly rate. I'll take that. But what if you could take that 5 hours and shave it to 2? As far as your time in that file working with that client. In other words, 2 hours worth of trust building, strategy, origination. And then the team is now managing the show. You're selling the ticket. Your team is managing the show. If it's now 2 hours, your hourly rate just jumped up to $1,500 an hour. That's really exciting.
Yes.
$1,500 an hour? We can do this.
Yes.
And so when you ask the question, what tasks are you still involved in that are not earning you top dollar? That question should be right there. Am I doing things that are making me between $600 to $1,500 an hour?
Right. Exactly. I'll tell you, once that light bulb goes on, especially with our coaching members when we really start. I mean, this is something we measure on a monthly basis, and we are constantly creating strategy around that, Matt. But, it's just really interesting. I did hourly rate for one of our master level coaching members. This is his third year in coaching. And so last year, his hourly rate was this time last year, his hourly rate was about $7.29, and which was yay, that's awesome, right?
Right.
But we
Yeah.
kept building team, and we kept growing, and we kept scaling all year in 2020. So this year, his hourly rate is 1709.
Yeah.
1709
1709 an hour.
an hour.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just really phenomenal for us to really, and I had to, acknowledge him and tell him, this was your work. This was you developing those disciplines, you developing this team, you're fine tuning that team, you're doing all of those things and implementing and executing all of the strategy that we had put together for you to reach this point. And we're not going back. So
No.
what's next? Right?
Exactly. And there's no cap. There really is not a cap to this. If you think about it, how wonderful is life for him?
Yes.
Knowing now that he's working maybe 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yep.
With an hourly rate of $1,700 an hour.
Right.
How much more life can you live?
Right.
With that type of a business hourly rate that you have coming in.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so that's the question for all of us to ask, is to say, okay, how do we continually manage our business? And again, this is what master level coaching is about once we get there. This is about team building. This is about fixing every single little cog in your system, so that you as the originator are doing the absolute minimum but maximum, efficacy thing that only you can do, that will provide the biggest impact for the client and the business. So it's almost like, Hope, we've talked about this, is kind of like the surgeon mentality, right? You have the receptionist, and you have the nurse, and you have the PA, and you have, finally you get to, the surgeon. But the surgeon doesn't know anything about billing or scheduling or doing any of that. And by the way, I would be very concerned if my surgeon did all of that, because I want my surgeon to be really good at one thing, right? Really good at one thing.
Yeah.
But that's what, for us, our clients want us really good at doing what? Building strategy.
Right.
And building trust, and helping them manage their real estate assets over time. That's what they want from us. And if we can provide that and say, okay, I'm going to have a team that's going to do all of these things. And by the way, I know that my team is not getting paid the same hourly rate that I am. But they're still making really good money.
Yes.
Because that's an important piece. We want to have that 5-star customer service experience. But only I'm doing this amount. This small sliver of time that has maximum impact, and can provide the ability for me to be able to have these consultations on a much more regular basis. Why? Because I'm not stuck in my business.
Right. So, one of the things that, that I had learned, and one of the things that I talk a lot about with our master level coaching members, is that everybody on that team is a profit center. Everyone on that team, everyone that has a seat in the chair is a profit center. And that was actually something that I had learned from, obviously, in the beginning from Todd Duncan, and started implementing it. And when I actually started implementing it, the team evolved itself. So that those people that are sitting in that chair were a profit center. So and if they weren't a profit center, then we either obviously coach them up or coach them out. So that there was probably a wave that was going through that team that was saying, we are a team, and we are a high performing team, and everybody is going to own their piece, and everyone is a profit center. And so when they have that kind of a mindset and create that level of a culture, everybody helps each other. Everybody supports each other. Nobody, there's no one on the team saying, not my table, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it's so true. And every single member has their main event.
Yes.
Every single position has a main event, and it is different for every single position.
Mm-hmm.
But as a professional with a team, if you don't know your team member's main event and have not gone through the exercise of time tracking with them to make sure that they are ultra productive at their main event,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done. But
Right.
that again, that this is what we coach on. This is how
Mm-hmm.
we build those members of the team to make sure that this process is just seamless. It is a assembly line that works beautifully all the way down to the
Mm-hmm.
end. And by the way, the end is not the closing of the loan.
No,
That's the beginning.
it's
That
the
is the
beginning.
beginning of the relationship that's going to last
Right.
for the rest of that client's life if
Absolutely.
you're doing the right things as far as
Mhm.
continuing to manage that mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of agree with you more, Matt. And, and that's something that, and I think that one of the defaults that happens with our coaching members is, not empowering their people, so they've got great talent. They've got people that are dedicated and committed, owning their position, owning their role. And I think one of the hardest things when we first start growing team is letting go and empowering our people to do what they do best. And by the way, happen to love the best, right? What they, love what they do because they're great at it. And we had a coaching member that we just recently took a 30-day, um, I guess vacation, you'd call it, away from the office. And he came back. So that was his February. And his February turned out to be his best month ever. Wrote over $4 million worth of business, closed over $4 million worth of business. He was gone. So his hourly rate was through the roof, for the month
Yeah.
of February, right? But it was, what was more important is to really kind of shine a light on the fact that he was gone. Yes, he was checking in. So maybe he was working maybe an hour, 2 hours a day, checking in, following up, and doing what he did, every day, while he was away. But he empowered his team, who, by the way, had been with him for many years or several years, to go and do what they do well, and they did it.
I think you mentioned something that's super important, Hope, is the fact that, I mean, I look at my own business. There are things in my business that have to get done that if I was doing them all, I would not do well,
Sure.
period. And again, that's for someone that is a very high control freak that says, no one can do this as good as I can do it.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you need to sit yourself down, have a
Yep.
great conversation with yourself,
Yep.
and come to the realization that you do not do everything well.
Right.
In fact, you probably do very few things
Right.
well and
Right.
and exceptional. And there are people out there that will do those things that you don't do well
Mhm.
better than you do them.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
need to allow them to do that. But I agree with you. That is one of the probably the biggest challenges that we have
Right.
as business owners.
Right.
And as I say, business owner, that's not you're not the owner of your company,
Mhm.
the owner of your group or your team. You are the leader of wherever you find yourself in your
Mhm.
company.
And
Okay,
that's the
while
key.
the shareholder, you're going to invest in you, like the
Yeah.
most successful salespeople invest in themselves.
Right.
So if you are going to take that role, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to invest in people that I can train and educate and have them do their jobs in the construct of the company I want to run within my bigger company,
Right. Right.
but allow them to grow and develop and get the praise and the accolades and let them do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the things that when we transition and we, graduate our producer level people into master level, is now they are leaders, right? Now they are leaders. So it's one of the things that we do in master level is we start to coach to leadership. And that is a very, very, very big part of leadership is we coach to now you're a leader, now you're a teacher, right? and you're an educator, and you're, basically partnering with your people to help them be the very best version of themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
It starts to build on that, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. I've had the comment that's come, a couple of times saying, well, Matt, gosh, I just don't know that I want a team. That seems like it would be super stressful. I would have so much more on my plate. And the reality is, and this, if you have the right team that's trained to do the right things,
Right.
your stress level drops
Yes.
dramatically as your income level increases.
Yes.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Because you're not stressing about the stuff that you normally used to stress about because it's not for you to do anymore.
Right. Yeah. I think the stress levels, come when you're, one of your key players is gone on vacation, and you're finding yourself, having to roll up your sleeves and get engaged, and that type of thing. And I think that that's something, obviously the summer is coming. We're in spring right now, but or we're just about to come into spring, and so people are going to be taking vacations, and I hope that they do. They've invested a tremendous amount of time this past year, overtime actually, and and hopefully they are taking vacations. And if you plan it well with the team, and everyone is responsible to make sure if you're going on vacation that you've got someone else on the team that is backing you up and supporting you and is up to speed on your pipeline and all of that, it can be done in a very, very smooth fashion.
Absolutely. You should always have at least one other team member cross-trained on someone else's job so that it allows for that, because you don't want to get into a panic mode of, oh crap, my main person is gone. Now I'm going to have to jump in and take that role. Right. And we definitely can. But again, if you're looking at what is my best use of time, number one, making sure that your team has vacations. It is super important. We know how that recharges us and how important that is for us.
Yes.
But making sure that you've got the right people in place. Again, if you build this the right way, it will just hum along the way that it's supposed to. And really, it's about a continual education, training, high trust interviews with your team, making sure that they understand where their priorities lie.
Right.
What was interesting, as you look at the productivity curve and the kind of the two other questions, because I know we're kind of up against it, to think about is, what things are you doing that could be eliminated through better efficiencies?
Oh, let's get a list.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I mean, think about it. What are the things that are consistently happening in your business that you could eliminate through better efficiency?
Right.
And so this could be a myriad of different things. If you're getting the same question that's asked over and over and over and over again, or your team is, because remember, this is not just you and your productivity.
Right.
This is your team's productivity.
Exactly.
What can you do to one-time an answer to that question?
Yes, absolutely.
Video, something that addresses the question, what is the next step? All of these different things that you can talk about.
Exactly.
And then I think the most important thing to look at as a business owner is, what can I delegate that I am not? It's that not to-do list, and that not to-do list should be pretty dang big, because your to-do list should be really three things. Originate, build relationships, strategize.
Yep.
That's it.
I know, Matt. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question. First of all, we're always looking for certified high trust coaches. High trust coaching continues to grow. Our geography continues to grow. And I'm always looking for, qualified coaches. And the qualifications is unusual to become a high trust coach, as you well know, Matt. So to see if you can qualify to become a high trust coach, please just send me an email and say, hope I'd be interested in having that conversation. And I would welcome that opportunity. I have a new coach certification program coming up in April, and I would love to have, 3 or 4 new people coming into the fold. We have an amazing faculty today of coaches, and we want to keep growing that and staying in front of making sure that we are delivering to our coaching members qualified, certified coaches by Todd Duncan and myself. So if you're interested, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. And I think the last thing I want to ask you, Mr. Matt, is what is your theme this year? What is your business theme this year?
Okay, so this is a really big one for me. I have in the last week have really focused in on taking this idea of productivity to a completely different level.
Okay.
And so I have looked at my business, which we can do a breadth of different loans. And I've said, what is the one loan program that is the most profitable, that I love doing the most, and that makes the most sense?
Okay.
And I've taken my business from this to narrow down and focus it to one program. And for me, I'm passionate about the reverse space, Hope,
Yes.
as you know. And so for me, it is saying, okay, I'm now laser focused into this. I'm going to put the 80-20 rule to work in that particular space, and I am going to 100% focus on it. Now, the other business that's still there, I had a meeting with my team earlier this week, and I've said, okay, my forward business is now being transitioned to you to work on, where I'm focused in on this space. And so for me, that has been a huge change for me just this year as I have worked through this system. I know where all of my different incomes are coming in from, and I know my ROI on each one. I know my productivity curve on each one. And so I've been able to delineate, this is one that I love to do, and I'm going to focus in on it. And I see that there's opportunity in it, and I'm going to go for it. I mean, I had a coaching call today with a coaching member. His niche is physician loans. It's like, Matt, I'm going to focus in on physician loans. I love them. It is my go-to. And I want to spend 80% of my time there because I know that it's what I love and it's super profitable. I'll say, great.
Yeah.
You make the transition. You just do it.
Yeah. And what I was just thinking about as you were saying that, Matt, is what an amazing team you have built to have that kind of freedom to say, I'm going to shift my focus here, and my forward business is going to be handled by my team. So I'm not leaving anything on the table, but I have built such an amazing team that I have the freedom to make that shift and move in that direction and know that everything else is going to be taken care of. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
And again, you can do this. I mean, I've not been in this business for all that long, but the exponential growth on where we've seen things grow, and again, all due to high trust and the methodology that we don't only teach this as coaches, we live it.
We live it.
We live it every day. I mean, this is what we do. But that idea, you're right, Hope. I mean, for me, it has been game changing. And it'll be interesting at the end of the year to be able to go back and look and see how that has not only affected my business, but my life.
Right. So, okay. So your timeline on this is this time next year, you will have refocused and built a new business in a reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll check in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it.
The buy-win thing, right?
Right.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. We're coming up to the end of our time, or we are at the end of our time, actually a little past our end of our time. Thank you all for joining us. Please feel free to share this video with your team, with your realtor partners, to share it with everyone, because there's not anything that anybody cannot gain and grow their business with if they learn how to manage their time and really learn the profit curve. So thank you, Matt, so much for being with us today. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you.